How are you all doing tonight? My name is Bigbobbedboi, and welcome to Real Boys. TBC Classic is happening. I thought it'd be a good idea to bring things together and go over everything we know from the reveal and the Q&A, because there was some important stuff there. Also, some things where they've given us hints, so maybe we can deduce what's going to happen. And what we still need to find out, with a dash of speculation. So here is what we know. TBC Classic is happening, and it will be a 2.4.3 style client with phases. This was confirmed in the Q&A, so classes are definitely 2.4.3 versions.
Who says, in the Burning Crusade Classic, will there be the possibility of class tuning? Says that would make it notably different than in 2007.
That's a great question, and in general the answer is broadly no. We want to kind of keep the authentic behavior that was in the final patch of Burning Crusade the same way we did with Classic.
No shitty version of Devastate. Nice. However, amazingly, they are willing to make some changes, and the examples they gave were incredibly promising. Check this out.
So, you know, rather than always giving them like the last version of the boss, the final form of the boss, which maybe has been hit with a few nerfs, let's not do that anymore. Let's give them a more challenging version of it.
Now, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but if they're willing to give us a 2.4.3 style client with non-nerfed raid bosses, TBC Classic is going to be some dope shit. They didn't elaborate on that anymore in the Q&A though. So if that extends to heroic dungeons, we don't know yet. Or even if it's just a few raid bosses, not all of them. Really wish that had gone into more detail on that, but it's got me hyped as shit. There will be boosts to level 58. Yes, a boost, but it's not that bad. You can only use it once, and it can't be used on a Draenei or a Blood Elf. You get no professions, a level 30 mount, and some blue gear. It will cost money though, which is kind of shitty, but because we're not paying for TBC, I'm not that miffed about it. But if it costs like $60 or something crazy, yeah, not so much. Honestly, I've seen a lot of people losing their shit about this, and I don't get it. The restrictions on it should keep it from going out of control. And the hypothetical person that didn't play Classic, but will come back for TBC Classic, exists. And probably a lot more than most people think. I've already talked to a few friends who didn't play Classic, and are going to come back for TBC Classic. This is not a bad thing. Blood Elf and Draenei in the pre-patch. People were begging for this, and they actually gave in. You'll be able to level Draenei Shaman and Bloodbach Paladins before you can enter the Dark Portal. Nice. There will be Classic-only servers and copies to them. This was weird. So when you log into a character for the first time after the patch, which will be the pre-patch, you'll be given an option. You can play on the progressive version of this server, the one going into TBC, or play on the Forever Classic version of this server. You don't move to a different server, weirdly. There will be like Herod Progressive and Herod Classic only. Now, if you want your character on both versions, you'll have to pay for it. And this really gives me the shits, okay? It shouldn't be a paid service. The way they explained it was, when the pre-patch launches, there's like a snapshot taken of your character right then. And if you want to pay for it, you can have that character continue on into TBC and continue on the Forever Classic version of your server. If you don't want to pay real money, you can only do one, TBC or Forever Classic. This shouldn't be a paid service. If they just wanted to restrict it because people were going to copy over banks and worthless characters en masse, they could have put like a level 40 restriction on it or something like that. Making it cost real money is a bad idea. There are no fresh servers.
Will you open fresh Classic servers in order to, or in addition rather to the TBC servers? What do you think about that? Another Classic server given the demand?
Great question. For our timeline for Burning Crusade Classic, we won't be launching any fresh start servers, but I can promise you it's we've got our eyes on that in our future, and we'll be discussing it.
Yeah, they straight up said no fresh servers at launch. They might do it down the line, but none at launch. This is weird and very disappointing. Hopefully we can get them to change their mind on this. I know a lot of people want to roll on a fresh server. Even if they just do one per region, I think they should do this, so I don't know, post on the forums or something. Paladins get both seals. Yeah, I did not expect this. Ally Paladins will get Seal of the Martyr at 70, which is the same as Seal of Blood, and Horde Paladins get Seal of Vengeance, also at 70.
We are going to make is we are going to give the opposite faction's seal to the other faction, but we're going to do that at max level. So we keep just a little bit of that faction identity.
Both factions get both seals. This will really help out Paladins. Honestly, playing an ally Paladin in BC, you always just felt slightly gimped because of this. A surprise, but a welcome one to be sure. Summoning stones are in, so you can delete that level 20 Warlock. There are no battle groups. Everyone can play everyone.
And that really came from the fact that we had technical restrictions where people playing on different hardware installations, like different data center sites, couldn't play with ones playing in other data center sites. And we actually don't have that restriction anymore. You can actually matchmake players across the entire region.
I'm not sure how I feel about this. It was very common once you got higher up in rating to pretty much play the same team over and over and over again. So that being gone is good. But on the other hand, you'll lose the rivalries that develop in a battle group, since you'll be playing so many other teams. This might make it easier to get glad titles, I guess, but not the actual rank 1 titles. Those were given to the literal rank 1 team in each bracket. One per bracket per battle group. With no battle groups, who knows how they'll fix that. Maybe they'll do like 0.1% of the players. I have no idea. If you joined WoW late and don't know what a battle group is, basically the servers were grouped together for PvP. So anytime you queued up for Battleground, you would be grouped with people from like 8 to 10 other servers. It wasn't all servers grouped together in one like it is now. So we do know TBC Classic will come out this year. But yeah, that's as specific of a date they wanted to give us. Bruh. They also didn't give a date on the beta, but said it's also coming soon. And I swear to Hunter Jesus, they better let me in that beta. I got content to make, son. So that's what we know. Let's move on to things they hinted at, like Classic Wrath.
The current servers you're on now, Classic Live servers, are going to become what we're calling progression servers. And what that means is the servers that are live now will always unlock any expansion we release.
Yeah, they pretty much confirmed that at least right now they are planning on continuing on from TBC Classic. Nice to know. Changes to rating and MMR and Arena. So they clearly didn't have any concrete plans on this yet, but they said they were considering changing the way Arena rating and personal rating work.
Is that when we did personal ratings versus team ratings?
I think that came later, and we're also considering whether or not we want to do something with that as well. Because another thing that was problematic about arenas was the way that the ELO system was so inflationary, and so we're talking about whether or not we want to move forward with converting that to something more like the modern MMR system, so that it isn't
into something more like the modern MMR system. For the love of Hunter Jesus, do not do this. This is a terrible idea. Especially since we're going to have only one battle group, there will be a lot more players. Part of the reason for that MMR system was it gets hard to get you a game because there's not as many people at your ratings. But since there's going to be that many arena teams, this is just a bad idea. Don't do this. Now they only briefly mentioned layering, and it seems like it's just going to be very similar to how it was in Classic. Not great, but honestly, if they tried to move over to sharding or some of the shit they use on retail, it'd only get worse, so I'll take it. No gold wipe or economy restricting. They didn't say it outright, but they said the servers just continue on to TBC as they are. So it seems like you'll roll right on into TBC with the cash you have now, however fat that stack is. I know some people are really worried about this, but I don't think it'll be that terrible, honestly. This is also a good time to talk about what they said for phases. So Phase 1, Tier 4, Phase 2, Tier 5, Phase 3, Tier 6, and PvP Season 2, Phase 4, ZA, Phase 5, Sunwell. Okay. You see the problem here, right?
Yeah. Then next we move on to Phase 3, which is Hyjal and the Black Temple. And then that'll go with Arena Season 2 at that point. And then Arena Season 3 will come out alongside Zulaman with
Yeah, this will destroy balance in PvP in its entirety. You will have to PvE to be competitive in PvP. This is unacceptable. Tier 4 gear is already slightly higher eye level than Season 1 PvP gear. Tier 5 gear is slightly higher than eye level Season 2 PvP gear. Having to wear Season 2 PvP gear and compete with people in Tier 6 level gear and weapons and glaives is insane. Just compare these. Now, I actually thought the guy misspoke when he said this. It was the guy in the acid washed jeans that said it. And none of them seemed like PvP experts, so I think that likely he did just misspeak, because in the Q&A they did sort of roll this back.
We actually think we were talking about maybe we want to start it earlier than we announced in the deep dive panel. We're talking, as we've been looking at the gear, we think that it actually might fit more with Karazhan and the Tier 4 gear, and so we might actually move all the arena seasons up so that Arena Season 1 starts when Karazhan and Gruul and Magtheridon's Lair come out, and then probably have Zul'Aman come out without an arena season so that the next season we'll skip over that one.
What we really want is for the PvP seasons to line up with the tiers. This leaves Phase 4 and ZA in a weird place. It would make Season 3 really long, although Season 3 just felt long in the first place, and it's not perfect, but I do think it's the best option balance-wise to do that. And a few things that came up briefly in interviews following BlizzCon. The looking for group tool will see changes. Shit. So if you don't remember, TBC did introduce the looking for group tool, but it was shit. No one used it for really anything. They specifically stated, though, they did not want automated group finding. So it won't work like the modern version or even the Wrath version. I'm not particularly excited about this. I assume they want people to not have to type /join LFG because that's too much trouble, I guess. Now this could end up being okay or really terrible. I don't see any real gain here, so hopefully we can get Birmingham some Hennessy to get his head real tight. Then he'll obviously see this is a bad idea. Just leave it as it is. And drums will most likely be changed. Now, the way they phrased this, it doesn't sound bad. They want you to bring leatherworkers to a raid. They want leatherworking to still be good. They want drums to still be good, but don't want you to feel like you need 25. I like the idea, but the implementation will be key here. Although we also have to think they are giving us some pre-nerfed form of bosses, right? Original Vash was killed with world buffs. So if we don't have world buffs and drums are changed, I don't think we'll see original non-bugged versions of those bosses. They'll have to make some kind of in-between version, which I guess kind of lines up with what they said about Maru, but I was really hoping for original version, just no bugs. I don't know, I like the idea on changing drums, but this could go either way. Okay, now let's talk and speculate about some things that have come up or been asked about a lot, but weren't talked about yet by Blizz. Attunements. We don't know. It's going to be that 2.4.3 style client, but with the changes they've already committed to making, I don't see them giving us all the 2.4.3 style attunements. Because a lot were just gone, or nerfed heavily. Would have been nice if they answered questions like this during the Q&A instead of, hey, how did you guys work during COVID? Who cares? This is about the games, not their work schedule. Jesus Christ.
That's a great question.
Race changes. This is something that I'm not really a fan of, but having paid race changes is an easy way for Blizz to make money, so they might do it. It's also kind of important for Arena. I touched on this on stream, but just because someone says a race is a best choice for a class, I mean, that doesn't mean it's true. Especially at a high level PvP, it's something that you are just going to want to play around with. So as much as I hate value added services, I'd like to have this in place. Not so much for my hunter, but other classes I play, I would like to try out different races on them. Dual spec. So when I watched the Q&A live, will we get dual spec was the most asked thing in chat. And honestly, I could see them putting this in, even if it's a scaled down version of it. where it has like an hour-long cooldown, only works in PvP, has a high initial gold cost, you know, some of the things kind of like that. I would be really happy to see it implemented, but I'd like it to be a way that wouldn't have any detrimental impact on PvE, so yeah, it could be tricky. I'm sure there are a few other things we could speculate on, but those are the most important that I saw. Also, damn, this BlizzCon was hard to watch. The roundtable for TBC started off bad, it was a little boring, but then it got watchable, right? The Q&A though, what the hell was that? The entire time was just someone's lip smacking sounds. The entire time.
Many players are asking. So, but
Another wing egg.
Then the chat just became a game of trying to figure out who was doing that. Just non-stop lip smacking. And weird and disgusting, gross mouth sounds into the mic over top of someone else talking. How does that even happen? Just mute the fucking mic. Jesus. Okay. Liz, you can do better than that, seriously. It's not hard. Just mute the mic when they're not talking, and then we don't have to listen to those gross sounds. I noticed the viewer count going down because of that shit. It's disgusting. Let's talk more about TBC in these comments, because I'll be watching and replying to them for quite a while. I really want to talk about it. And if you enjoyed the video, hit that sub button, bell, like button, share button, all that other shit. I appreciate each and every one I get. We even have memberships now. You can check them out by clicking the join button right by the sub button. It is absolutely the best way to support the channel, and you'll get some really cool emotes. Plus, it's way better and cheaper than a Twitch sub. I've got a lot of WoW content already on the channel and have much more coming, including streaming right here on YouTube, so be sure to stick around for that. Had an excellent stream Friday night. It was so much fun. Really appreciate everyone that joined me for that. And if there's any specific WoW Classic or TBC Classic content you'd like to see, be sure to let me know in them comments. But that is going to be all for this one. I really appreciate you all watching, and I will see you all for the next one.